Hello everybody. I thought it would be kind of nice to do a get ready with me. This is not your typical get ready with me, and this is not your typical video that you would find on my platform right now. However, if you do like this kind of content, please let me know in the comments below and we can start incorporating it more into our weekly schedules. This get ready with me, I am going to go over all sorts of topics. I'm going to go over a little bit about my upbringing, like what brought me to makeup, and I'm also going to go over my birth story and why I am doing content creating now. If you get triggered by birth stories or traumatic events, then please skip over my birth story portion of this video and skip all the way to the end once it starts. I will warn you right before it comes on. I was the person who freaked out with all birth stories and didn't want to hear anything about traumatic births, so I completely understand if that is you. So, no judgment, skip to the end. I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. Hey, you guys are going to get ready with me today, and I'm very excited. I have nothing going on, but we're going to get ready together today. I'm trying out a new camera angle today, so I'm hoping it works. I'm really hoping it works. So if I'm out of the frame, I apologize. It's a learning curve, but we're going to go with it. Like I said, I quite literally have nothing going on. It's literally like 5 p.m. I'm going anywhere. I just wanted to do my makeup and make me feel better. I had a rough week these past couple weeks, emotionally, physically, all of the above. So I figured maybe doing my makeup would make me feel better. So we are just doing that, and that is our video for the week. If you have something specific that you want to see on my channel, please comment below and I will get to it. If you aren't already, you should definitely go follow me on Instagram and Facebook because I post polls sometimes, most of the time, and that way you have a say in what I'm posting on this platform. Honestly, I thought it would be kind of nice to just sit down and talk to you guys about why I love doing makeup and kind of a bit about me and why I started doing YouTubing and stuff like that. I'm filming some TikToks right now, so I am going to go for kind of a dramatic look. I am also going to start a series on TikTok on trying to find the perfect false lashes for me because false lashes are not my friend. They hate me. It's okay though, because I don't like them either. They are a pain in the butt to get on, and I have yet to find a pair that I actually find that look good and feel good and are easier to put on, because I swear I do it wrong. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but keep an eye out on my TikTok for that. It's just my name, Brittany Robinson, so go check it out. A little bit about me. I am 24. I'll be 25 in May. I obviously love to do makeup. I love doing makeup because, well, it's kind of a funny story. So back in the day, back in middle school, I did not enjoy doing makeup as much. I would watch like Tati Westbrook do it, and I always wanted, deep down wanted to do what she did, post YouTube videos about makeup. So I've kind of known that I wanted to go this route for a while. It was just a matter of actually doing it, and I was pretty insecure about my look. So I just never really got around to actually doing it. And then in high school, is my best friend. She loved doing makeup. She grew up, well, she would watch Talia Joy. She had cancer. She passed away when we were in high school, I think it was. But she would watch her channel all the time. She watched Tati. She got me on to Tati and all of that fun stuff. And then one day she moved away, so obviously I had to do my own makeup every day, which that kind of sucked. But it ultimately brought out a new confidence. It brought out a new personality and just something I didn't know I had. So then that's when I ultimately fell in love with makeup. And on top of that, I was a cheerleader. Cheerleaders have to wear makeup, you know. So yeah, I was the master at a red lip. I would go to church camp and I wanted to be on the red team because our school colors were red and black and white. And so I had millions of red lips. If you haven't watched my red lip video, go watch it. What are you doing? Because, oh my goodness, I could make that red lip last all freaking day. Obviously, cheer was a really big part of my life. It really honestly was until this last year. So needless to say, makeup has always been a really big part of who I am. and it's always made me feel a lot better. Senior year, I got shoulder surgery on my right shoulder. Well, I'm right-handed, so I obviously could not do my own makeup, and that really sucked. And so I had to find myself and figure out how to enjoy what I looked like without makeup on, which that was really hard for me. I honestly figured out how to put on mascara and do my eyebrows and stuff like that with my left hand, and that was great. Right after high school, I moved over to the Seattle area. That's where my church camp was. That's where my aunt lived. I moved in with her. It was great. It was fun. I made a lot of friends, but it only lasted about 3 months. I moved away for 3 months and then I had to move back. Everyone thinks it was because of my current boyfriend. Really, it wasn't. My family was going through some tough times. My parents ended up getting divorced that next June. And yeah, so I honestly came back because of my family, but the boyfriend was the... So anyways, I moved back. I was working on being a cheer coach. At first, I was just a volunteer, and then I became the head coach after a few years. Coach is not easy. It was very difficult, and a lot of the parents, because I was so young, they did not like that. So they did not really like me coaching. My assistant and I both got fired, and it maybe last March, which I will get into that story here in just a second, because I really think that my birth story is like I mean, obviously it's a huge part of who I am, but it's also a huge part of why I'm doing this now. How this eye look's gonna turn out, but we're gonna go for it and we're gonna hope for the best. I really hope it turns out. Now, to get into my birth story, buckle in because it's a wild freaking ride. Pregnancy, honestly, it started out like any normal pregnancy. It was fine. It was perfectly fine. I was working full-time. I was coaching part-time. Yes, it was a lot. I would get up early. I would go to work. I would go to cheer. I would go home, and I would go straight to bed. Thankfully, Brogan, my boyfriend, he is just amazing, and he's so helpful. And I could not ask for a better partner. Partner in life, partner in parenting, honestly, just partner in general. I love him with my whole heart. He is just awesome. Now, if you get triggered by birth stories, or if you're pregnant and you like don't want to hear any birth horror stories, because that was me. I freaked out about like everything. It was bad. If you're like that, don't watch this part of the video. Skip to the very end. My daughter's name is Brinley. She was 10 weeks early. In a pretty small town, okay? I think that was part of the problem. I live in a small town, and so I don't know. They make you go to all the doctors here instead of just, you know, one or two. So that was also a massive issue that I had. 3 weeks. I started having stomach pains, like upper abdominal pain, a week and a day before she was born. So it all started on a Wednesday. It was the middle of the night. It woke me up. I was like in so much pain that I genuinely thought that I was going to pass out. And I've never, ever been in so much pain that I was throwing up because of the pain. And that's the level of pain that it was at. So that alone just kind of really, that sucked. It was like on and off. And it only happened every couple of hours. So it was like, okay, is this something bad, or am I just sick? Like, what's going on? I had done the gestational diabetes test a couple days prior. I thought maybe it was just a reaction to that or something. Needless to say, it wasn't. Thursday night, it kept happening, and it became more frequent as time went on. But in that moment, it was just lasting for like, I don't know, half hour to an hour, and then it would go hours without. So by Thursday, I was like, okay, you know what? If it's happening tomorrow, I'll call the doctor. I did stay home from work. I had enough time saved up, and then I had FMLA. So I used that set up so I could miss a few days a week for that. And then I had some extra time saved up as well. So Friday rolls around. I stayed home from work. I was in so much pain. I call the OB office, and the nurse that I talked to she says that it sounds like it's just her growing. It doesn't sound like that big of a deal, and I had an appointment the coming Monday, so she said to just let the doctor know when I come in on Monday about it and talk to him then. Went the next few days thinking, okay, it's just her growing. It's fine. It's just her growing. I just am a baby, apparently. At that point, I honestly thought that I was just the biggest wimp ever. And so by this point, obviously it carried on to the weekend, and I was just in so much pain. It was horrible. It was horrible. So Monday rolls around. I go to the doctor. I drag Brogan with me because I'm like, I'm not going to this thing alone. We go to the doctor, and I will never forget the doctor's look or ever what he said. I was explaining to the doctor what I was feeling, and I told him, I was like, I have a high pain tolerance. I tore my shoulder in high school, continued to cheer on it for a couple years, then got surgery. Like, I have a high pain tolerance. And this is what he does, okay? I don't think I have anything for that. Didn't send me for labs, didn't send me for anything. Just, I don't have anything for that. So obviously, if the doctor said it, it's true, right? That's something you think or believe, at least, until you experience otherwise. Unfortunately, I experienced otherwise. So the pain obviously continued on, and it was just getting worse and worse. It was more frequent. It kept happening, and it was like contractions. It was getting shorter and shorter in between, and it was more consistent. It was happening every couple of hours and lasting for at least an hour. Brogan is in a bowling league. So he goes bowling Monday nights. Super late. It's at like 9 o'clock at night, and it goes until like midnight. He can drink, okay? One beer is not going to throw him onto the toilet, passed out, throwing up, you know? So he gets back from bowling. I'm on the toilet throwing up because of the pain, and he looks at me and he goes, I think we need to go to the hospital. I fought him so hard on it. I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm not going. You're not making me go. The doctor said everything's fine. His pain goes away temporarily. I'm laying in bed, and then I get up and it comes back, and I look at Brogan and I'm like, okay, let's go. I'll go. And he is passed out in the toilet throwing up from one beer. And this man would not lie to me about how much he drank. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason, and timing is everything. I have no doubts that if I would have gone in that day, they would have either told me that everything was fine and they would have sent me home and I would have died, or just we would have had different staff, and it would not have gone the way that it did go. He's passed out. That's fine. I go back to bed. It continues over the next couple of days. Finally, Thursday rolls around, and I am out of FMLA for the week, and I am out of a full day's worth of sick leave. I go to work. I am in so much pain. I'm worrying my whole line except for the women, because every woman I talked to, except for maybe one or two, just kept saying, oh, it's just her growing. Oh, it's just her growing. Even my mom, and I know she still feels so guilty about it to this day, but she even said it's just her growing. As I am leaning over in so much pain, can't hardly breathe or anything. I have lunch and I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink, I was in so much pain. I will never forget my coworker Dwight's look on his face at lunch. He just looked at me with the most concerned look. I've never seen him look that concerned. I mean, I had only been working there, I don't know, just over a year, I think. Yeah, about a year and a half at this point. And after lunch, around 1 o'clock, I decided, all right, I need to go home. This is clearly, I'm just not okay. I cannot function correctly at work. It was just not a good time. So I messaged my boss, my supervisor, and I was like, hey, I need to go home. I'm not doing well. I'm in so much pain. I'm going to go to the doctor. And I will never forget the look on her face. She came over. She talked to me. And she legitimately looked pissed. It looked so angry that, whoa. She looked so angry that I was leaving. I'm literally sitting there in tears, mind you. My coworker next to me, poor guy, was probably so scared because I'm not a crier. I do not cry, especially because of pain. I don't. So I'm sure he was freaking out. Oh my gosh, that just got in my eye. That had foundation and it just got in my eye. Oh, that did not feel great. Okay, car, I drive to Quick Care. Long story short, Quick Care says we don't have fetal monitoring here, so we have to go to the hospital. So I go to the hospital. I'm texting my dad every second and my mom. She's not off work. It's like 2 o'clock, 2:30 now. I go to the hospital. I'm in a room in labor and delivery. I don't think anything's gonna happen. You know, I'm like, okay, probably just gallstones, something minor like that, you know. Trying to stay a little positive here. Room, it's great. They're hooking me up, all that fun stuff. They take my blood pressure, which is even higher than it was on Monday, because when they took it Monday, it was high. They said it was in acceptable range, but they said that it was still notably high. I take my blood pressure, it's over 180 something, over 100 something, which if you do not know, that is beyond high, okay? Dang bad. So I'm over here cracking jokes because that's how I deal with situations like this. You know, you don't laugh, you're gonna cry. So I'm sitting there, I'm terrified, and they are trying to find Brinley's heartbeat, and they do find it, but it's definitely a struggle to find and to keep. Honestly, as an anytime mom, I'm sure that's terrifying to hear. My dad was debating coming with my brother. My mom was getting off work and she was headed my way. At this point, I still didn't think there was any reason to have Brogan come join me. So I didn't. I should have, but I didn't. So my mom gets there and they take my blood, and in case you didn't know, when your blood pressure is that high, it shoots out of your arm. Thought that only happened in movies. That does not only happen in movies, that happens in real life too. So it literally squirted out of my arm. Which, once again, I was making jokes about, of course. How could I not? I mean, honestly. Mom's there, she's getting all settled in, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. At this point, we are all trying to figure out what's going on. They're trying to stick me with an IV because, you know, it's important for me to get fluids in. I hadn't been really drinking water or eating food. A nurse, amazing lady, I will never forget her. She was so sweet through the whole thing. She was very reassuring. They ran my platelet level, and, well, my platelets were very low. So low that the doctor came in, he looked, and he was like, that is not right. That cannot be right. Do it again. So then they had to take my blood again, and it was a whole thing. They get the first IV in my arm. They take my blood again. My platelet level was, in fact, that low. It was very low, and the doctor is like freaking out at this point. He's got a worried look on his face, which is never assuring for anyone. My mom's there. She calls Brogan. She's like, you need to get here now. So my dad and my brother were trying to find their way there. It's not a big town, not a big hospital, but it was a struggle to figure out where I was at because I hadn't really had a chance to explain where labor and delivery was. So that was bad. So the doc, he explained what I had. I did not know HELLP syndrome was a thing. Everyone I talked to, hardly anyone knows what HELLP syndrome is. Not talked about. But that doctor I saw on Monday, he brushed it off, didn't send me for labs, but if he had, he should have figured out that I was in HELLP syndrome, or at least that I had preeclampsia. The pain that I was feeling was my organs shutting down. Honestly, first time mom, that's not something you want to hear. So you're kind of just sitting there like, what did you just say? I have what? And then he explains it more. He's like, yeah, you are in the next stage of preeclampsia, basically. So I was so bad that they were shocked that I didn't have seizures, that I didn't have a stroke, that I was even alive, and that Brinley was alive too. Because when you are as bad as we were, typically one or both of you don't make it. So he honestly was debating even doing the surgery in our town. He was genuinely debating just sending us over to Spokane to have them do it there. But because it was so late, because they literally told me if I had waited even an hour longer, one of us, if not both of us, probably wouldn't have made it. So it was literally life or death. So he had to do the surgery. You see the worried look on his face. Ironically, the doctor that told me that I was fine had to assist in my emergency surgery. That wasn't assuring, but I literally did not have I didn't have a choice. Like, I literally didn't have a choice. I could have waited and risked one or both of us not making it or something, but no. So I went with it. My mom and Brogan didn't hear that. So as they're prepping me for surgery, they have a second IV, and they gave me magnesium, which, by the way, you guys, freaking sucks. It sucks. I don't like the feeling of being high. It's not pleasant. That stuff makes you feel like you are way too high. You are like, they explain it like flu-like symptoms, but it's not pleasant at all. That's like worse than the flu. And I didn't believe them at first. I was like, no way, that's not going to make me feel like I have the flu. I'm not going to throw up. Yeah, I did throw up. I was leaning over the bed, and they had to stab me in the leg with the steroid shot for Brinley, which hurts like a mother trucker. And Brenda, my nurse, is just petting my head, and I'm puking. They're trying to find a vein for the IV. They finally find one, so they're trying to stick me with the IV as I'm throwing up. It was pretty funny looking back. In the moment, not so much. So they told me that the whole hospital was on standby for Brinley and I, that we were the top priority. One thing of platelets in the whole surrounding area. There's like 4 towns surrounding us in our area, and there was one thing of platelets, and mine were so low. That helps you clot, if you didn't know. That, not assuring at all. Knowing that I have to get surgery, I have to have a C-section. Is my whole pregnancy, the whole thing that I was freaking out about the most was how I was going to get the baby out. You either get cut open or you push it out. There's no in between, you know? And I was freaking out about it. So I was extremely relieved when he told me I had to be asleep. I was trying to mentally prepare to have a C-section or to give birth naturally, and I was not mentally there yet. So when he told me I had to be asleep, obviously I was relieved. He thought that I wouldn't be, so he was kind of like being like, I'm really sorry. And he was explaining why, and the why is basically because if they did an epidural, I would have bled into my spine. So obviously, I was going to be fine if they just knocked me out, you know? I'm still very thankful that I had to be asleep. Brinley ended up coding. So Brogan, poor Brogan, was in the hospital waiting room with my mom, my dad, and my brother while I was asleep having surgery, and Brinley was getting yanked out of my body, and they hear code blue, fully knowing it was one of us, and they didn't know which. She's okay. She didn't stop breathing. Brenda explained it to me later. Her respiratory rate just got too low. It wasn't non-existent. She didn't stop breathing. Her heart didn't stop. It was just low enough to the point where it was concerning, and low enough to the point where they did have to resuscitate her. My mom straight up told me she wasn't going to tell me that. We got life flighted separately to Spokane. Vaguely remember that. It was raining. I don't like flying. That was my first helicopter trip. And it was raining, and I was freaking out. So in the helicopter, the lady was petting my head, making me feel so much better, and I was asleep. Or at least I kept falling back asleep, which was great. So then I get up to Spokane, and Brogan doesn't get there till like midnight. I get there at like 8. Spent 3 months in the NICU. Technically, we spent the first time, we came home on her due date. It was a whole wild ride. If you guys ever want to hear what happened, I would not be opposed to going into details. She ended up getting neck, and like I've lost all trust in all doctors pretty much, except for a few, after our situation. I wouldn't mind going into more detail about that if you guys really wanted that. So if you want that, comment below, because I can do that. It was absolutely insane. We went home on her due date day, and then we got life flighted literally 2 days later because they peg it as a dairy allergy. It definitely was not a full-on dairy allergy, but what do I know? I'm not certified doctor. I have a dairy sensitivity, so I have no doubt that she's sensitive to dairy, but I really think that ultimately it was that brand of formula that really got her. But we ended up coming home mid to late June, early July, somewhere in there, and it's been great having her home. We have dogs. We have 4 dogs, and oh my gosh, they adore her. It's the cutest thing. Anyways, that's my birth story. So obviously with everything that happened, it was a long recovery for me. My incision site didn't heal until literally over 6 months later. I had so many issues with it. It was with everything that happened with Brinley, we both kind of didn't trust anyone else to watch her other than a couple people. And well, my mom works. She works, and my dad, he works. So it's not like we could pay them to babysit every single day. So needless to say, I ended up leaving my full-time job after my maternity leave was up. I left my full-time job in July because of her. We didn't trust anyone else to watch her. We definitely didn't want her to get sick, so we couldn't put her in daycare. And daycares are so freaking expensive. It's ridiculous. So we just decided that I'd stay home. And then Brogan had a job switch. He's a mechanic. He's still a mechanic and was a mechanic, but he switched locations back in October-ish. And then obviously with losing the coaching job, which yes, is a blessing in disguise, as much as I loved it, I know something good will come from this. And now I literally have no excuse on not making videos. So here we are. The timing of it's funny. I literally got fired. Everything happened the day that I posted on YouTube with the intention of posting more. And like I said earlier, I don't think coincidences are a thing. And I am a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. Timing is everything. So I do believe that losing that job will be just meaning that another big door is going to open and I will finally become who I'm meant to be. As it is, and as sucky as it is, and trust me, it is sucky. Financially, we are struggling. I mean, we're all living off one income entirely now. So that's why I'm pushing so hard with social media and trying so hard and trying to actually push myself to be consistent and actually do things. So if you know someone who's gone through HELLP syndrome, or you've gone through HELLP syndrome and you're struggling, just know it gets better. It gets better. It takes time. If you have a pregnant friend who thinks something's wrong, tell them to go get it checked out and to get labs done. Don't let them sit around and do nothing. Do not let anyone tell them they are wrong. 9 out of 10 times you are right. When it comes to your body or your kid's body, 9 out of 10 times mothers are right. Doctors should listen to mother's intuition more. Yeah, sometimes it's a bit crazy, but ultimately I really do think that doctors need to listen more. If you have any questions for me, please drop them in the comments below. That is a bit about me and why I am doing this. Kind of known that I wanted to be an influencer of some sort and just like, you know, help give my opinions to the world, especially about makeup. I've known that for a while now. Like I said earlier, I have had excuse after excuse, whether it's I'm exhausted from my job, you know, I'm busy, anything like that. I just don't have any excuses anymore. So here we are. I'm finally doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I do firmly believe that. So let me know in the comments below if you like the Get Ready With Me's. We could talk about anything else or this, you know, it's up to you guys. Alrighty, that's all. Thank you guys so much. And don't forget, if you aren't already, go follow me on my other platforms. I do post polls and I post other looks and other things on there. Like this, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing, all of that fun stuff. It's a free way to help me be able to provide more content for you. See you next time.